So I'm sure most of you have kids or you've dealt with kids, particularly young ones. And any of y'all that know me or my family knows that we don't have a shortage. I have 3 younger siblings, and a very common and unfortunate trend that I myself have discovered, and I'm sure you have too, is that they will repeat every bad thing that you say. You can teach to them and tell them all the nice words and what nice things to say. And then there's that one time you get mad. You drop something, or you stub your toe, or maybe you just don't realize that your 6-year-old sister is sitting there listening to you angrily rant about your day. But that thing you said, even if it was just once, they, of course, will pick up on it and repeat it out in public, mortifying your parents and everyone around you. Now, for Jordan, she coined the phrase, "what the heck?" Because that's what we all say. It's a PG expression of frustration, something that's not really that bad to say, but PG sounds pretty inappropriate coming from a 6-year-old. So we realized we had a bit of a problem, and we had to get a lot more careful with how we spoke around her. Now, children are always this innocent but accurate representation when it comes to how things are perceived. See, they don't have a filter yet, so they hear it and they say it. And they definitely show the importance and impact of our words and what we're saying. Now let's look at how the Bible starts. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. But what does that tell us? This means that God's words are so powerful that he can speak things into creation. To have that kind of power in words, in his words, seems so crazy. You see, he spoke all of creation into existence. He spoke the light into being and created a day. And then on the second day, he spoke and created the sky. And on the third, he spoke and created the land and the ocean and all of the vegetation. On the fourth day, he spoke and created the sun, the moon, and all of the stars. The fifth day, he spoke and created the birds, the fish, other sea creatures. And on the 6th day, he spoke once again and created all of the land animals. And then he created people. He created us. God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them roll over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and with the cattle over all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." It says, "Then the Lord God made man of dust from the ground, and breathing into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being." So God breathed his breath of life into us, and we were formed in his image. And if God has this amazing power in his words, and we were created in his image, what does the Bible say about the power of our words? Let's start by looking at Proverbs 18:20-21. "From the fruit of their mouth, a person's stomach is filled. With the harvest of their lips, they're satisfied. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." What does that mean? Can you talk someone to death? Can you talk them to life? Well, the Bible isn't just a bunch of verses, it's an entire book. And we have to look at it as a whole. So by looking at a couple other verses about our words, we can help understand what this means. Proverbs 15:4, "Gentle words bring life and health. A deceitful tongue crushes the spirit." Proverbs 16:24, "Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body." Proverbs 18:4, "A person's words can be life-giving water. Words of true wisdom are as refreshing as a bubbling brook." And in Ephesians 4, God actually commands us to use our words wisely, saying, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." So your words do have the power of life and death. Life can mean joy, encouragement, something that provides refreshment and life into a person, something positive that would lift them up. Like Proverbs 18:4 said, your words could be like giving a thirsty person cold water. And death, that could mean destruction, bringing damage to a person. You could kill hope in them, kill a fire in them, destroy their motivation, or like Proverbs 15:4, destroy their spirit. Every time you speak, imagine you are planting a seed in yourself and whoever is listening. Bad seeds, like weeds, can grow so incredibly fast and take over so easily, it doesn't take much nurturing. And yet most people feed those weeds like they're feeding an army, repeatedly saying damaging words. How many times a day do you mess up and you say, "Gosh, I am so stupid," or something bad happens and you say, "Nothing ever goes right for me," or "This is just the worst," just negative speaking. And we don't just speak negatively to ourselves. Gossiping, that's an easy trap to fall into. It's definitely not positive. The advice that we give people isn't always the best either, saying things like, "Just get over it." It can cause damage. And we repeatedly say these things, when even only saying it once, like a weed, can cause it to take over. The good seeds, though, the ones that you plant using words of life, encouragement, and truth, those are the beautiful flowers. Those take time to grow, and they need a little bit more nurturing, but they grow too. When I was in Colorado over spring break, actually while I was working on this sermon, Jordan came up to me, and she had been away drawing on one of those little notepads that you get in the hotel, and she walked up to me, and she got this cute little smile on her face, and she handed me a folded up piece of paper that she'd been drawing on, and I opened it, and it said, "I love you." So yes, she picked up quite easily on saying, "What the heck?" And that seed was easily planted, and just like the weeds, it didn't need much encouraging. But even though hurtful words or negative language can easily take hold of someone, those kind words, the uplifting words, they show up too. They just need a little bit more help. Weeds, you can leave alone and they will take over. Just like that mean thing that one person said a long time ago that's just seemed to stick in your mind. And while flowers definitely can do this, it's a little bit harder and they need some help. And it's much easier to get rid of a flower than a weed. If you rip out a weed, it comes right back. But if you rip out a flower, it's gone. Now let's go back to Proverbs 18. From the fruit of their mouth, a person's stomach is filled, and with the harvest of their lips, they're satisfied. Now remember, we have this seed metaphor going here. Seeds plant trees or plants, and trees or plants produce fruit. So from the fruit of the mouth, from things that you speak and say, both negative and positive, from this, your stomach is filled. Now, throughout the Bible, physical food and hunger and thirst have been used to represent a spiritual hunger. So what this verse is actually saying is not that you will eat your words, but that your spirit and your morale will be fed through the words that you are speaking. And then Proverbs 18:21 finishes with, "Those who love it will eat its fruit." If you love this, if you value it, it being your stomach, meaning if you value your spirit, you will eat the good fruit that your mouth can produce. You will benefit from it, and you shall reap its harvest. So if you love it, if you love your spirit, you will follow by this. You will begin to change your speech and use it to your advantage. But really, what can you do? Well, simply by changing your mindset so your words are different. And if it's hard to change your mindset, change your words. In geoscience, I learned about this little thing called a positive feedback loop. This basically means that event A causes event B, which in turn causes more event A, meaning even more of event B. So if you change your language to be positive, it will begin to change your mindset into a more positive one, meaning your language and words will become even more positive. Positive thoughts create positive words, which create positive feelings. But this is more than just making yourself feel a little bit better. Speaking truth and encouragement isn't just healthy for the mind, it's healthy for your spirit. Remember, Proverbs 18 was talking about your spirit, and your spirit is important. In Zechariah 12:1, when speaking to Israel, he says, "This message is from the Lord, who stretched out over the heavens, laid the foundations of the earth, and formed the human spirit." 3 things were used to describe God: his creation of the heavens, his creation of the earth, and his creation of the human spirit. Building up your spirit is important. Speaking the truth and life in order to build up your spirit is important. And not only is it important for you, remember Ephesians 4, God commands us to speak positively to others. Not speak only what is helpful, but not hurtful. And only what will benefit their ears, not destroy their spirit. The next time someone is angry, maybe even angry at you, the next time someone is stressed out, is worried, is in despair, and even if they're as happy as can be, and even if that someone is you, think about what you're going to say, what you're saying, and ask yourself if it is uplifting or if it is damaging. Go feed your spirit and go feed others.